The horses are now nearing the starting gate. And they're off. As the field comes into the stretch.
Stand by. And welcome to Aqueduct. Cool and crisp winter day here in South Ozone Park, Queens. Main track is fast, temperature in the low 30s. 9-race card for you today, highlighted by some Oaks points in the 48th running of the Busanda. Goes as race number 8. Mandatory payout in the pick 6 each and every racing day here in January through at least the end of January. That starts today in race number 4 on the 9-race card. And here are the changes for today's races. In race number 1, early pick 5 begins in the first. Scratch the 3, Maria's Gift. Race 1, scratch the 3, Maria's Gift. Early pick 4 wagering kicks off in race number 2. Scratch the 5, Tough Bird. Race 2, scratch the 5, Tough Bird. A scratch from race 3, take out the 1, Liam's Fire. Race 3, scratch the 1, Liam's Fire. No changes in race 4. That's where that mandatory payout in the Empire 6 begins this afternoon. No changes in the 4th. No changes in the 5th, the start of the late pick 5. And no changes in the 6th, the start of the late pick 4. A scratch from race 7. Please note, new post 3:21 to the new post time for race 7. Scratch the 6, Grape Therapy. Race 7, scratch the 6, Grape Therapy. No changes out of the Busanda, race number 8. Please note a new post time of 3:52 for race 8. 3:52 new post for race 8. And a new post for race 9, 4:22 post time for the finale. These scratches: scratch the number 1, Starship Empire. Scratch the 5, Reticent. And scratch the 7, Oliver with a Twist. Take out the 1, 5, and 7 from race number 9. A cold winter day, a fast main track. 9-race card set to kick off at 12:20 with that mandatory payout in the Empire 6 starting in race 4. The Busanda with Kentucky Oaks points on the line goes as race number 8. We'll be back at 11:50 with a reprise of the scratches and changes. Coming up next, the Super Sunday edition of Talking Horses with myself and Greg Wolf.
Welcome to Talking Horses. I'm going to start this thing off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like this is
You're
your
in the power
baby.
chair. You're in the power chair, my man.
I'm sitting in for Andy Serling today. He's off for the afternoon with the Big A. Anthony Stabile. It is chilly in South Ozone Park today. High 20s as I was walking over here from the subway.
Welcome to New York, my man.
I love it.
This is what
I
we
love
do.
it.
Yeah. The wind is something new. The wind is something. The last 5 or 6 years. It's funny when I used to do my HRN shows from the Equestress. That was my first studio here at Aqueduct. And Richie Migliori, our very own Richie Migliori, would come upstairs, and one day, and Richie, of course, rode here in the late 70s, early 80s, and I looked at him and I said, do you ever remember this wind? And the answer was no. And the last 5, I want to say since 2015, there's something, I don't know if the patterns changed, but the wind, because it's not really that bad without the wind.
It's not bad at all.
Not bad without the
But
wind.
you say that, I feel for these riders, because riding in these conditions has got to be incredibly tough.
Yeah.
We have a tough card to talk about today, too.
We do. Had a big weekend. A lot of fun races yesterday across the country. We covered most of them on America's Day at the races. We're back today. What time we go off today? What's post time today? 1 o'clock? 1:30?
12:20.
No. Here at 12:20. What time?
Our show?
Yeah.
2:30.
2:30.
We got a late
okay,
start
so
today.
a late start today. A couple of good races at Oaklawn yesterday. I think that Silver State's going to be okay.
Yeah.
He looked good. First time back around 2 turns in a while. 2.7 furlong races.
What'd you think about Caddo River, too?
So Caddo, it's funny. We had a weekend where it looked like we were going to see a points race, just one points race, and one race of really any kind of significance. I don't think we leave the weekend with that. Caddo River was fantastic, but prevalence yesterday down at Gulfstream Park in what was a loaded 7 furlong maiden special weight race. You had Justify's half brother from the Chad Brown barn. I know Todd Pletcher liked one of his 2 firsters. Bill Mott's horse was live. They ran 2, 3, 4, and the Brendan Walsh Godolphin prevalence. I mean, it's very rare to watch those maiden races. I think that just, especially down at Gulfstream, the 2 names that pop into your head. The best maiden race I ever saw was Uncle Mo in Saratoga. The 2 that pop in my head, Pulpit, Curlin, and I think that race yesterday certainly brought back some emotions, some memories of both Pulpit and Curlin. We'll see. It's good to see Brendan Walsh. The Godolphin horse is kind of spread out. And Brendan, obviously Maxfield, who, when he's on the track, he's as good as it gets. And now he's got, it looks like another good one. I mean, that horse was, I used the F word on Twitter yesterday. That horse was a freak. That horse was a freak yesterday.
Yeah, it could be a couple of horses that come out of that race that are going to make an impact on the Triple Crown Show. We had Essential Quality, of course, who's the leader in the clubhouse right now, as everyone always is, who wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but no real big stars yet. We're still kind of working that out. But that was that race for sure. And Caddo River didn't get tested, but he makes his own trip, and he's on the front end. He improved a lot off that maiden win.
And it's great, right? You got east of the Mississippi, you have Essential Quality. You have Life is Good out in California.
Mm-hmm.
You got Caddo River banging around the Midwest, I guess that would be considered Oaklawn Park, right? You would think trainer Brad Cox is going to want to keep Caddo River and Essential Quality apart. And then you say Brad Cox, Knicks go. I mean, the transformation. It's very rare, Greg, right? Been doing this a long time, that you see horses have that grade 1 glory. Won the Breeders' Futurity as a 2-year-old, Claiborne Breeders' Futurity down at Keeneland, second to game winner in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then has a 3-year-old year that nobody will remember. That 3-year-old year goes to Brad Cox, and I mean, those 4 races now.
4 for 4 for Brad Cox now. There's an interesting decision now. So does he tackle the big race for $20 million, which is 1 1/8 miles, which we just saw he can win at, or does he go the 1 1/4 miles of the Dubai World Cup?
Yeah, it's Andy's not here today, so I won't get yelled at. It's the 1-turn, 2-turn kind of thing with him too. His races are all 2 turns. He's going to have to go, and that's a 1-turn 1 1/8 miles. That's very taxing for a speed horse, and he knows Charlaton's waiting for him. Mm-hmm. I don't know who's better right now. I know one thing. They both want to do the same thing. They both want to flaunt their speed. I guess Charlatan and the Unhappy Malibu came from off the pace. You would assume that Knicks Go would have the early advantage. I'll tell you what, the problems I'd like to have. Do you want to run for $20 million or do you want to run for $12 million?
Yeah.
I wish I had hey, there's no reason you can't run them both.
That would be incredible. Should we get into today?
I think we should.
All right, let's do it. So this first race to kick things off.
Got to tell them where to go bet the races.
Oh, exactly. Sorry. Get signed up, get started, play with Naira Bets. Sign-up bonus up to $200 in the promo code to use at sign-up, match 200. Go to NairaBets.com, or you can, of course, download that NairaBets app to get involved.
There's your Fred Hooper winner. Performer.
Had
Got
to
the job done yesterday.
gut that out.
I think he wants to go long. And speaking of Oaklawn Park,
50-50.
Yeah.
Bet 50 at each track, you get a $10 bonus. Every little bit helps, too.
My 50's going on Hidden Scroll today, speaking of Brad Cox. First time Brad Cox today off the $525 auction purchase.
Heard he can do good things when horses move to his barn.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, taking this one off Bill Mott now, so but it should be an interesting day down in Hot Springs, as they all are.
All right, so now we can get started. First here at the Big A, New York Breds, maiden claiming $25,000 tag.
Is this your Saugerhall's debut?
No, I've done it a couple of times
Okay.
before. But you and me, this is our first
This
time,
is our
right?
first time together, yes, sir.
Okay. So we got a one-turn mile here in this opening race, and wow. First of all, we got a big scratch here in this. Maria's Gift at 3 for Ray Handel, out.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Maria's Gift was, I was kind of hoping Maria's Gift was hanging around because I was a little against Maria's Gift today, and I thought Maria's Gift was going to take some money. Look, this race we've kind of seen these on a limited basis, right? We've seen MNI 3 times, a couple of turf races, an off-track race on a wet track. Now going to get a dry track and the drop. Lasix for the first time. Jimmy Ryerson. Hasn't had a win yet at the meet. Horses are running well. Miss Marissa was a good second last week in the ladies. You got a horse like Rosie Surprise, who you put on top. She's a big price off a third place finish 2 starts back. You got Rosie's Peach, who was second last time behind runaway winner Amity Island. And here's Rosie's Surprise, your top pick. You see her in the yellow cap there. She's going to finish third. This is 2 starts back.
Yeah, this was 2 back. So this was back in a similar, she was in over her head last time out. But off this performance, they jumped her up in class. And I just like the way she sort of kept coming in here. Amity Island, Chad Brown horse would finish right in front of her, would come back and win by 9.5 lengths next time out. Granted, that was over a muddy racetrack. But I like this performance. Then she was in much too tough last time out. I'm not worried about that last start. If she can repeat that performance, she's a player in this race.
And the filly that won that race, Pancho Song, came back and won the feature on Friday. So beat that Rudy horse that was 1-2. She paid a ridiculous price, $24 or something. So, yeah, I mean, off the race 2 back, I don't know what happened last time. Was it just a maiden special? I'll tell you what, if you get that 10-1, get on that NairaBets app and fire away at 10-1. She's got some value in here. I don't like what I've seen from the runners, so I defaulted to one of my go-to guys, Kelly Breen, his assistant John Atfield. They've done a lot of good here this winter. I went to the 5 Barefoot Dancer, daughter of Oxbow. She's got a decent enough work tab. She gets Trevor McCarthy. Like I said, you know, a firster is not going to have to be much to get out of the maiden range.
I just thought it's never easy to win at a mile first time out. But in a field like this, hey, you don't have to beat a lot, as you mentioned. And also the dam was more of a sprinter.
Yeah, the bottom end of the pedigree here, sprinting. I'm hoping, listen, Kelly knows that. I'm hoping that the 1-turn mile, which, you know, a lot of people like to compare to an elongated sprint, helps the cause a little bit here. Like I said, she's not going to have to be much to get out of these maiden ranks first time out. And
I thought the danger in here, you know, you got whenever you have Kendrick on a horse who has speed anyway, which is the 6 Rosie's Peach, it's a concern. But I thought the speed of this race was outside. Stretching out, Delaware Destiny, blinkers going on, showing sprint speed. That was the one you're probably going to have to catch in here.
Yeah, I thought. You know, last time out, she was not going to get the lead over She's a Dirty Dancer, who was dropping in. She's supposed to be on the stretch, like you said. She's drawn the outside post, field of 8. She's... Eric Cancel's supposed to be aggressive with her, and just with you, I put her second like you did. I'm just hoping he can take them as fast as he can, as far as he can. Just trying to get in front of him. Look, I don't think a lot of these horses want to pass horses. So if you can have speed, I think that's a huge tactical advantage, especially in a race like this. All
right, so we'll see how it plays out. Race 2, 6 furlongs, claiming race, $16,000 tag for non-winners at 2 lifetime. I defer to you.
Another interesting scratch here. The number 5 Tough Bird figured to take some money. Another one I was kind of against a little bit in here. So Mind of Gold, the horse to beat, obviously, off that gaudy 61 Beyer speed figure last time out. I mean, if she comes back and pairs that effort, and here she is. Now this is it, Mom. This is the race where she's
I picked this out because I wanted to show just what happened. The 6 horse here has to alter course, dip down to the inside. Actually got bumped at the beginning of this race. as well. She overcame quite a lot to actually run third in here, beat less than a length. I like that performance. And then she comes back and she airs. She didn't beat much, obviously, but she handled that group pretty convincingly.
Yeah, you start to see Crick in the past performance lines. You start to worry a little bit. My bigger worry is, where has she been? Claim her on September 24th. We're looking at a 4-month break now, and she's cutting in half. So it's not like Linda Rice claimed this horse and said, you know what, I'm going to put her away for the winter and make some money with her in the winter, because she's running around the drop. Can she win? If she runs that last race, you could pick up a stone and throw it. That's probably how far she's going to win this race by. But that layoff, to me, is a little bit of a concern. I took a small shot against her. You know, Wayne Potts is a guy that I've tried to get home, and I've kind of zigged and zagged with Wayne Potts so far this meet. This filly, Elite Speed, again, I'm Mind of Gold's the horse to beat. Elite Speed caught a muddy track in her dirt debut last time out. It's a positive rider change to Dylan Davis for the second start on dirt. Catches a fast track today. I don't want the favorite at even money off the break. Obviously, she can win. There are other contenders in here. I want to take a little bit of a shot with a horse that is going to be a decent price, who's getting on a fast track for the first time for a barn that's won.
Yeah, that was interesting, and that's a reason I would use this horse probably in multi-race wagers, because you don't know what you're going to get. That last start, as you said, it was a muddy track, first time on dirt, may really run well over it. I just with the 7, there's not a lot of other speed in this race. The only other speed looks like the 3 Charlotte Webley, doesn't it?
It does, and my guess would be that Eric Cancel on Mind of Gold is going to let Charlotte Webley go. Charlotte Webley ran a couple of really good races, one in particular, the race 3 back, when the Mike Simmons barn was going at a good clip. He had won 3 of 5 races, I believe, and the barn's kind of tailed off. This filly's kind of tailed off with the barn tailing off. She even lost a little bit of her speed. Now, maybe you're right, and Mind of Gold just goes, but I would imagine Charlotte Webley's going to try, and they're going to be aggressive with Charlotte Webley. See if she can get to the top. Mind of Gold, so it's off. And for that reason, I thought Elite Speed, who showed some speed on Polytrack, she was at least closer in some of her Polytrack races. I'm hoping she's not far from it today as well.
Yeah, it could be the case. Yeah, Charlotte Webley just so hard to trust. The only positive, if you do like that horse, we're talking about the 3, couple of bullet drills, including a 3 furlong move, which is probably to put more speed back into this horse.
Try to get the speed back in. The last 2 races, she wasn't as fast as she was in some of her prior races, and that's a good move. Try and give her a stiff blow in the morning, and try and just get her going and get that speed back. Let her kind of remind her what she's supposed to be doing out there.
Hard to trust though after those last couple of starts.
Absolutely.
So I chalked out there. I heard a rumor you're going to have a little chalk later. So I'm going to come at you for that.
Yeah, but I got the chalkboard out later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Class will
guilty
be
in
in
race
session
2.
later on.
All right, third race. 1 turn mile, 50,000 starter allowance in this one, and perceived absolutely horse to beat for Linda Rice has won the back-to-back starts.
This horse was purchased in the late Paul Pompa Jr. dispersal. Made his all of his starts with Chad Brown. Horse came back. This was an interesting one that Andy and I were discussing last time on Talking, because this horse was in the sale 9 days later, and was exposed for the 40,000. Did not get claimed. I don't know what this horse was purchased for, but I'll tell you what. The maiden race on the fast track back in February of last year, gutted it out. This horse came back in that 42 life last time.
Off almost a year layoff.
And man, it certainly looked like they ran the proverbial ringer that day. I mean, never in doubt that this horse was a winner from the time the bell rang.
And everybody knew as well.
And yeah, I mean, 8-5. You know, it wasn't the toughest 42 life that this horse was ever going to see. I think along the lines of being in the sale, I think they were a little safe with not being claimed. They weren't. Went to the sale. Yeah. Obviously, I don't want to say way the horse to beat, but this is the horse you want to beat. The horse has some tactical speed. Came off the lay. You don't have to worry about the race off the layoff because he galloped. And yeah, I mean, he's run well on fast tracks. He's run well on wet tracks. There's not a lot to worry about with him. Yeah, but we both took a little shot against him.
Yeah. So I'll just talk about advance notice. I like this horse, and I like the fact he gutted it out last time. He had to lead in the stretch. That was at 1 1/8 miles. and now he's going to shorten up in distance. So he's going to cut back a little bit. We'll see if that helps him finish better maybe this afternoon. And he's got tactical ability. He actually has sprint speed that he's shown before. And this was that last race for him at 1 1/8 back on January the 1st. He would miss to Lost in Rome, who'd come back in his next. He'd run fourth against Chestertown
Yesterday
and
afternoon.
Azar. Yeah.
You see this gutsy effort between horses from Lost in Rome. Take nothing away from Advance Notice, who was going around the 2 turns, trying 9 furlongs for the first time. Stayed on very, very nicely. We saw some success from horses yesterday, cutting back from the 1 1/8 races. Advanced Jimmy Jerkins, the horse that won the 5th race yesterday, the New York Bred race that kicked off the pick 5 carryover. Saw some horses cutting back from the 2-turn 9 furlongs to the 1-turn mile. You would think it's going to be a help for this horse. My biggest problem with him is he broke his maiden in a race at Saratoga where long-term thinking was 1 to 5. If I'm not mistaken, long-term thinking was claimed and is still a maiden. They were shocked this horse won. He hasn't won since, and they've kind of, Mike Maker, there's usually a plan. He's run this horse at a 1-turn mile. He got the horse back to 6.5. He stretched him out to the 1 1/8. I think they're just trying to find this horse's comfort zone. So, look, he can absolutely win this race, no question about it. He's going to be the second choice, though, but can certainly win.
I just like the fact, too, in that race, if you watch the entire thing back, he battled the whole way. Lost in Rome was on him the entire way. Of course, wound up winning the race, but he fought every step of the way. And now shortening up from 1 1/8 to a mile, he's going to be, I think, even more tough.
Big effort. Yeah, I'm using the 1, 5, and 6, and I picked Liam's Fire on top, Doubly Blessed on top, rather. Liam's Fire's out. This horse took to the dirt pretty well last time. I mean, another horse. He won as easy as you could win. He was a winner from the 3/8 pole home.
We're both going Mike Maker, by the way. This is an uncoupled Mike Maker entry.
Correct. And this one is unlike the horse I picked in the second race. This horse actually enjoyed the wet track last time. We're going to see what he can do on a dry track today. But you know what? I think our country always takes some sort of money. Advance Notice will be shorter than him. Perceived will be close to even money. I think you're going to get another nice price on this horse. And I'm going to take one more shot with Doubly Blessed in here.
He's a question mark, though, too. Because
he might have just loved the mud last. He's got a pedigree to love a wet track. He might have just loved the mud last time. Absolutely could be the case in here. I'm going to take another. I got the money with him last time. I'm going to try and get the money with him again at a similar price. A
little bit of a flyer because I look at throws too. At Shanghai School at Penn National has run some numbers in here. They fit with anybody in this race.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's going to be a price.
He's going to be a price. I would imagine Dylan Davis is going to be forward with this horse as well. Advance Notice didn't go that fast on the front end last time. Grit and Glory, I don't know where Grit and Glory found his speed from last time. Yeah, I would imagine Dylan's going to be aggressive with the 3 in here.
Yeah, Advance Notice, they went 24-2 that opening quarter last time out.
Yeah,
not exactly blazing.
To the first turn. So, and he was inside if I'm not mistaken, right? He was the rail. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was able to protect rail. It was a good race last time. See how much it takes out of him too. He's just coming back in 3 weeks.
As we say all that too, race, as we said, it goes through perceived. It's going to be a short price, and it wouldn't surprise us at all.
No question.
If it is the favorite. 4th.
Empire 6 time. We give it all away every day.
Yeah,
in
another
January.
mandatory payout.
Yeah,
And
every day.
how long is that happening for?
Through at least the end of January. So we got at least 1 more week of that left. 4 more race cards after today.
6 furlong sprint coming up to kick it off the sequence. 25,000 claiming race. Non-winners of 3 lifetime. In this spot in Quality Stones, Kendrick Carmouche. Not only is this filly quick, you have Kendrick on board as well, going to be the one to catch.
You would think, coming off the 2-month break, she's going to be a little fresh. She looks to be the controlling speed here on paper. I don't trust her. I don't trust her. She won the first 2 races of her career, and then they sent her up to Finger Lakes for the summer. She has just been one of these, it's been a pop and stop almost every time she's run since those first 2 efforts. In fact, it has been. She hasn't won since back in June over at Belmont Park. It's hard to trust her. She's finding herself in the claiming ranks for the first time. You see another little bit of a break now, the 2 months. She gets back to Bruce Levine. She ran her best races with Bruce. So she gets back to Bruce Levine. I'll tell you what. she ran against so much better last time. Let me take this call, and Miss Jimmy, let me take this call. I mean, I would have to imagine next stop for her is the State Bred Stakes ranks, and Miss Jimmy is as consistent a filly mare now as you'll find. She's getting big class relief. You know what? I don't trust her in here. I really don't trust her in here, Greg.
I think it's going to be tough. Having said that, I didn't go with her, but she's going to be in front. The class relief, as you mentioned, is going to be very tough to try and run her down. I thought you are going with the horse who is the biggest kind of X factor in this race. If she can go back, Halama the 9, to what she did 2 starts back at Churchill, this race is over.
Yeah, and the obvious question is, what happened last time? The trouble at the start wasn't that bad. And we've seen plenty of these horses run these big numbers out of town, whether it's, obviously I think you put a little more credence into the Churchill numbers than you would maybe some of the other places, but I mean
But she has two. She has 2 races where she's run that same. Her debut, she ran that number. They both came at Churchill. That's a concern.
That's my concern, because people talk a lot about how horses hate the surface of Churchill Downs. There are some that absolutely love it down there as well. She could just be a Churchill Downs kind of horse. I figured, I looked at it like this. Quality Stones is going to take some money. Stunning Munnings is going to take some money. She always seems to. I mean, in 6 of her last 7 starts, she hasn't been higher than 4-1. She's going to take some money. Left Leaning Lucy won last time out, I have to imagine. She's going to take some money. City Temper is going to take some money. I think this filly in here, Stunning Munnings, as we were in the slop getting the job done last time, middle of the track right there, you see her in the Bob Amendola. You can't miss the Bob Amendola, the pink and black, the cerise and black, if you will.
And just broke razor sharp in this race, and that's one of the reasons why I liked her too, because she's going to be able to put herself in position, doesn't need the lead, and she's so tactical that she's going to make her own trip.
And she's got Left Leaning Lucy and City Temper to do her dirty work with Quality Stones today. She's a major player in here. I even thought Cadeau de Pas was a little interesting in here today. She hasn't run in a while. And Bob Casares has her now, but if Quality Stones has lost a step and they hit up in front here a little bit, maybe she can come running now. I think you could argue that maybe she certainly achieved her most success on wet track. She has some fast track races that are equally fast to the wet track races, but you could argue she's achieved her most success on the wet tracks, but she has some races there that if they go fast or they hit up front, she could pick them up. The layoffs are concerned, but you know what? She's double digits on the tote board.
I'm going to use her on my pick 4, hard pick 5. She's a 6-year-old mare now. She's getting up there. Hasn't raced since January of 2020. That's the reason ultimately I didn't go with her. She was going to be my top pick.
Yeah,
I couldn't get over that. Horse she faced last time, she ran 3rd against Prairie Fire. That's a 6-time winner. She's faced some very good company. She's won on this track a couple of times. I'm with you. I just think that the layoff's a concern.
Yeah, layoff's obviously a concern. I almost wouldn't mind if it was 7 off the layoff with her running style, maybe having a little bit more ground. But listen, some of the results we've seen this week, there have been some doozies here this week. She wouldn't surprise me at a middling 10, 12 to 1.
And meanwhile, you got Left Leaning Lucy in here, whose speed. I can't trust that horse. Stunning Munnings faced her a couple back. Stunning Munnings actually got cut off and still was able to get by Left Leaning Lucy in that race.
It's just hard to. Left Leaning Lucy does her best running on the front end, and it's just very hard to imagine she's getting the lead over either Quality Stones or City Temper. Even if one of them subs their toe coming out of there or early on, it's hard to find her on the lead today.
So we'll see. Bill Mott, Halama. What price do you think you're going to get? 6 to 1 morning line?
6 to 1, yeah. But like I said, they'll bet Quality Stones. Stunning Munnings will take money. Left Leaning Lucy will take some money. City Temper always takes a little money. So yeah, it's a tough race. It's a spread race for me.
By the way, I'm just rolling because I'm not getting it. I don't know if this isn't working for me. So just tell me if
We're good.
Okay, we're going at a good pace?
Perfect, yeah.
Okay.
We're throwing 12. As they would say, it's 50. We could throw in 12s at them right now.
Okay.
Pick 5 time.
Pick 5.
My favorite time of the day.
Late pick 5, it always overpays. 6 furlongs, New York breds, maiden special weight to start things off in this group. Wow, I think we do. We agree in this race.
First time for everything.
We're going to go with a run happy in this spot. And if we're going to show this race in a moment, absolutely got sandwiched and all chance lost in the stretch.
This was the 3rd run happy to run up in Saratoga, I believe. Danny Gargan had 2. I was told this horse could absolutely run. Was in contention, like you said, had a little bit of traffic trouble off the turn. We see the long layoff. I like the layoff in this instance because especially with the young horses, it gives them a little time to mature. Haven't seen her now. She's
Especially with
back.
some adversity, right?
Yes. Coming back now. She gets Lasix for the first time. I think that's going to help. She gets Kendrick for the first time. I think that's going to help. And if we're being honest here, the drop in for the state breds, I think is going to certainly help because that was a race where Lady Lily came back and won and was in some state.
Was third to Vequist in the spinaway, in her next start.
Spun d'etat for our friend Tom Amos.
Yeah.
She's been okay. So she exits the race. I don't think she's going to be 4-1. Now, you have a horse like Jill's a Hot Mess in here. Who is going to take money? Jill's a Hot Mess is going to take money. She staked phase 2 back. Speaking of Danny Gargan, she ran into Breakfast at Bonnie's last time. Breakfast at Bonnie's just aired on her last
Freaked
time
out.
Yeah. And they bet Breakfast at Bonnie's like they knew she was a little bit of a runner. She was the only filly taking money into her.
But doesn't that resume concern you? 4 seconds and 6 starts now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I put a second.
Yeah.
If we're going on the PP, she's got that second-itis right now. In fact, it's three seconds in a row, 4 of her last 5. Yeah, and now she's starting to climb up there. She's making her 7th start as a newly turned 3-year-old. These seconds start piling up. How many of these have we seen in our life? A filly with speed who just, the quarter pole comes and runs out of gas. Eventually, horses like this find a field they can get in front of, boss around, and get out of the maiden ranks. I don't think this is the one because I'm looking forward to My Alluring Lady coming back.
Are we going to see it?
Are we gonna?
I don't know. I think
Do
so.
they have it? Francisco
Yes,
has
here we
it.
go.
Here she is.
So here's the debut. So this was back on August the 2nd. As you mentioned, I think everybody had heard about this horse a little bit. Was supposed to have talent, and there it is, going to get completely sandwiched in the stretch. And that goes back to your point, too. Because of this, maybe, and that she faced all that adversity in this race, good to just give her some rest, put her on the bench for a bit, let her mature, come back, and then take another crack at things.
Yeah, that's it.
And by the way, 3 winners in this race would come out of that to win again.
Right. So 3 winners will come out, and let's face it. She was a run happy. She was running for that bonus.
Yeah.
You take the one shot at the bonus. You don't get to the bonus. All right, let me back off for a little bit. She had a little bit. I also really like the fact that Danny ran her 6 furlongs first time out. Shows to me that maybe she was a horse that was going to need a little bit more ground, and that's why he ran her to 6 and didn't run a 5.5 leading up to Saratoga.
I'll say this too: the Brad Cox filly, the 9 in here, Irresistible Girl. I didn't think there was a ton of pedigree. I didn't get too excited about that one. Next door, the 8 Hey Red. When they stretch this filly out and she goes longer, look out! The Grand Dam. Wonder Lady Annelle, Grade 1 winner of the Coaching Club American Oaks, even though it was in the mud, and Grade 2 winner of the Demoiselle.
Yeah. She certainly has a little bit of a distance pedigree. I put a 4th in here. I don't love some of the other runners in here, so I put a couple of 1st, 3rd, and 4th, but I'm looking forward to seeing My Alluring Lady return.
All right, we're going
to take a break?
Sure, let's do it.
Take a break and come back with the late pick 4.
All right, we'll see you in a few.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Back on Talking Horses, Greg Wolf, the Big A, Anthony Stabile. Here we go, late pick 4 coming up. Don't do it to me. Don't chalk out here.
I couldn't do it, man. Listen,
right,
I tried to. I tried. Believe me, I tried. Possible Donna.
So look, she repeats that last race, it's over.
And she was a victim of circumstance. Spinning Yarn had come down here from Finger Lakes with a pretty nice resume, won a bunch of races in a row.
6 for 8.
Didn't get to the lead in the stakes. She tried. She dropped into the A other than. It's weird with those conditioned races up at Finger Lakes. They don't count against the A other thans on our circuit. So they have those restricted races, and it's not when there's a 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can run through those conditions. during the summer and the summer and fall, spring, summer, and fall, come down here in the winter and still have your A other than condition because of purse money and the restricted clauses. So Spinning Yarn was coming down here talking about running a ringer. Like you said, she had won five in a row up there. Comes down here, got a very favorable pace scenario. One that left Impossible Donna doing something she probably doesn't want to do. She was chasing the pace. She had no choice but to chase the pace, and the other filly just ran away from her. And now, man, it looks like she gets a heck of a lot not only an easier pace scenario, but there's no Spinning Yarns in here.
Yeah, Spinning Yarn's a really tough customer she faced. I was going through her races, Impossible Donna, and I wasn't that impressed. And then I looked at the thoroughgraphs, and the number she got in that last race, it decimates his field. I didn't go with her ultimately, but she ran a huge effort that day.
It's funny, the horse you picked in here, I think you have to have one of two opinions. You have to think she's going to win, or you have to be against her. And that sounds like, well, of course it is, idiot. You got to pick her to win. Or no, I don't. I put a fourth in here because I couldn't really fill out with anything else. I don't care for her today, but have at it.
I love her today. So, eloquent speaker. She is speed. Now, I'm going to need Eric Cancel to be aggressive with her.
Took the blinkers off, too, today.
She's got to be quick out of the gate, and this is the reason we're showing this race. I would love it that if she backed up to dead last in this race. I don't care where she finishes. Get the lead, get to the front. She has the speed to do it. She was 11 in here. It's going to eventually have to work and get to the front, and then winds up backing up to 5th. I don't care where she finishes. If she can get to the front in this race, get some separation. When you take blinkers off, that allows horses to relax and run free on the front end and let that speed last even longer. So I wish she would have backed up to the back of the back here because you would have got a better price today. In the end, if she can get the lead, the big problem for her is going to be Beautiful Karen on the outside and Jose Lezcano because she's quick, she's putting blinkers on, she's drawn outside. That race from her, though, was incredibly slow. I don't think she's as quick, and if Eric Cancel is aggressive, gets to the front, I think Eloquent Speaker just keeps on going.
You know what's funny? Beautiful Karen ran a race 3 starts back that we showed, and then I showed last time when she won the Snicket race, where everybody thought that Snicket had the bad trip. Snicket had a great trip that day, just had a moment of traffic trouble. The Joel Rosario did not panic, just waited like he does. He doesn't panic. He didn't panic. Hole opened up on the inside. She got the money. Beautiful Karen ran a giant race that day. She came back and got dusted by I'm Fine. I'm Fine's okay. But I think we're waiting to see, I know I was waiting to see her repeat that performance when she was second. She didn't. And even last time when she won.
114-1?
That was nothing. Her last 2 efforts are nothing close. That second place finish to Snicket is exponentially better than either of her last. Her last race in here doesn't get her much.
I agree. I totally agree.
And like you said, with Eloquent Speaker in here, and Eloquent Speaker is just faster than her, the 2 concerns I have, and this is no knock on Eric, it's Eric Cancel on the lead. And why are the blinkers coming off? The blinkers coming off would almost indicate maybe they want to get this filly to relax. There was too much going on for me with her.
Well, here's the thing. So many times we see it a lot. One of the best angles I love, taking the blinkers off and stretching out. But a lot of times you can make that equipment change. You could still be in front and relax.
She's fast, Greg. She's fast. I mean, I don't know what these blinkers coming off are going to do for her, but and you know, she ran like a filly last time out that needed. She dueled with the eventual winner for the first quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
Ruvy's in time, let her go. She came back to the field. She ran like a horse that needed a race. Maya's numbers off this kind of a layoff, the short numbers anyway from the last year and a half or so, they're good. He wins about 25% of the time. So that's not really too much of a concern. And she's not going to be favored. She's going to be the second choice to Impossible Donna.
Yeah, no question. Impossible. What price do you think she goes off? She's even money morning line?
She's probably going to be shorter than that.
Yeah.
I would think she's 3 to 5. 4
the
to
thing
5
that gave me
today.
confidence, too, about Eloquent Speaker, it was Cancel on board that race we showed you last time out. So he had to be instruction. Look, get to the front. We know how quick she is. They're going to go for the lead again today. You have to hope, even though they're taking those blinkers off. And if she can get to the front, I think that speed lasts a little longer.
Could very well be the case.
All right, we'll see what happens. But again, look, she's second choice morning line. It's,
Yeah, it looks like it's a race. I filled out with Well and Josie in quietude, but you know that's kind of what they like to do. They like to kind of fill out the tries and the supers.
we got 4 coming out of the same race last time out in the 7th at Aqueduct. 7 furlongs. New York bred $40,000 maiden Clemming event, and the one that finished the best of that bunch on the outside for Charlie Baker, outstanding trainer. Funny Bones Flag, the 8, Chris DiCarlo rides, was a long way back in second, but the best of the bunch that she faced and will face again in here.
This the race we're going to see from this?
I ultimately did not go with her.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, she caught a muddy track off of the June layoff, and here you'll see Ghost far outside, Dancing Kiki's in the red cap, and Funny Bones Flags battling on between horses here. This is behind Runaway Winner, Bonus Baby.
I like Ghost. That's why I showed this race.
Okay. Yeah, look.
By the way, you know who's on the call in this race?
Yeah, yours truly was on the call
And
in this
Ghost,
race.
the 5. You're going to see cross the wire here in just a minute. Dead last, out of the gate, could not have been worse. And the Big A, you were great. Not the best of beginnings for Ghost.
Yes,
I love that.
That's not only
it couldn't have started worse.
That's not only picking up the start. That's picking the horse that did not break well. I think I picked her that day, if I'm not mistaken, too. Yeah,
I love how she continued to grind away. Actually, made a pretty big sustained move around the turn and showed some grit in the stretch.
Yeah, and that was on a muddy track. She had run well on a sloppy track in the past. Her fastest number came in the second start of her career on a fast track, so she's going to get back to fast ground today. This was the kind of race where I tossed one horse.
Oh boy.
I had a tough time with the race. So what I did was I defaulted to Rudy. And this is a trainer change that I am going to bet and select every time. When they go into Rudy, I'm a big Rudy guy. So Bella Dominica gets the rider change, gets the trainer change, gets a rider switch to Jorge Vargas, who's been aggressive here. Look, this race, she's 0 for 9. Dancing Kiki's 0 for 15. You know, even Ghost getting up there with 0 for 5. Caladad, 0 for 8. So you're starting to see these quote-unquote professional maidens. They start to pile up these numbers. I think Funny Bones Flag makes sense. And then our friend David Aragon, the Morning Line odds maker, pointed out that Repeal and Replace, this horse is making her first start for Klarovich and Chad Brown. 37 works. She has worked 37 times. He tweeted that out the other day. I did not do that research. That was David.
Is that them wanting her to show them something?
37 works. I thought maybe she was previously trained by John Sheriff's. John Sheriff's famous for putting 17, 18 works 37 times. So obviously this filly has, you know, run into some issues and what have you. But she finally gets here on a cold January day at the Big A.
Dan produced Coleport, who was a graded stakes winner on grass. Actually won the debut, but that was on turf.
Yeah. So we'll see what we get out of Repeal and Reply. Listen, if anything, for their diligence needs to be rewarded. I put her second today. And Funny Bones Flag. You know, Funny Bones Flag, it's going to be interesting. Turf first time out going long. She ran okay, caught a wet track last time, and now she's going to catch a fast track for the first time. I think, you know, my man Chris DiCarlo in town to ride. I think she makes some sense as well.
I thought the 2 interesting, too. The 2's going to be a price. It's Jorge Abreu. Speed and backed up first time out. That was on a muddy track. Gets a fast track today, start number 2. Look, it was a big number that day, too. So it doesn't give you confidence, we knew something about this filly, was expected to run better. But maybe on a fast track, maybe that speed can last a little bit longer.
Sure, yeah. And you mentioned Ghost. Yeah, it is, like I said, I had a very tough time making Caladad, but even Caladad, blinkers go on, drop in class, getting leading rider Kendrick Carmouche. I mean, if that's the horse that you're going to toss, I mean, if I'm hitting I'm not using all but one when it's Kendrick. I can tell you that right now. Kendrick's going into that ticket. So there's a very interesting, for a maiden 40 state bred race. Race 7 is one of the most interesting races on the card.
Yeah, and I'm not over exaggerating this number. When I do that maneuver that you just said, I think a lot of us who play do it from time to time. All but one. 80% of the time, and this number's low. It should be probably higher. 80% of the time, that one wins.
Gallop.
It's incredible.
They gallop.
This game is so cruel.
Beautiful disaster. That's what George Velasquez said to me one day. It's a beautiful disaster. And I don't think he's ever hit the all but one button, but.
And every time I do it, I say, I've learned my lesson, never do it again, but sometimes you're forced to.
Well, what do they say? Repeating history is the definition of insanity?
Yeah. Maybe playing this game is the definition of insanity. Kentucky Oaks points on the line in the Busanda, 1 1/8. We could see some staggering down the stretch here at this 1 1/8 distance.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because a lot of these fillies, we only have 2 fillies who are basically locally based here, I guess you would consider the 2 Todd Pletcher fillies, the 2 Coffee Bar and the 4 Traffic Lane, both coming in the orange and blue of Mike Rapoli. And Coffee Bar is actually installed as the 8-5 morning line favorite. The other 3 filly, here is Coffee Bar getting out of the maiden ranks last time out in her second start, stretching out to a mile. She wasn't favored. I couldn't believe she wasn't favored this day. She was bet down to 8-5. She had Lasix last time, now stakes race, so no Lasix today. But she sat just off the pace, made the lead on the turn, and this one was over. Daughter of Outwork and a stretch out to the 1 1/8 today. I tell you what, the way she won going the mile, Greg, I don't know if the 2 turns or the extra furlong is going to be a problem. This is a very curious move, though. This barn, which has done this a little more frequently in the last 3 or 4 years, 2 weeks. Todd usually gives his horses 6, 7 weeks between starts. This filly's coming back in 2 weeks now.
Which tells you what?
Well, it tells me a couple of
her?
things. It tells me a couple of things. Obviously, there's only a field of 5 in here. He has another filly in the race, Traffic Lane, who has come into this race prepared a little more conventionally from the barn. We haven't seen her since she ran poorly in the Demoiselle. Now, that was over a sloppy track. She had 1 prior race on a sloppy track. It wasn't great. It was okay. She actually ran a faster speed figure last time, but I think that's because it was obviously a grade 2. Is Coffee Bar in here Coffee Bar is 8-5, and Coffee Bar might be here to make sure the race went for Traffic Lane. It's, again, and this sometimes, you know, ignorance is bliss, and maybe just overthinking this a little bit, but this is not something the barn does often. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I mean, we've seen Syndergaard was like 3 weeks between the maiden win and the funny side win up at Saratoga a few years back. We've seen it, but, you know, when you can recall the instances, that's something I think you need to keep in mind.
So you think Traffic Lane's the Pletcher you want to go with in here?
If I picked Coffee Bar ahead. I don't really like either of them, to be honest with you, but that's what my thinking, which is not always the same.
She was 26-1 in the Demoiselle.
I'm very well aware, but she's not facing the Demoiselle in here. She's not, you know, she's not running into Malathot and Milfoy in here.
You learned quickly in these, you know, as you go along in these stakes races, who these horses are, and I think we learned she's not grade 2 worthy to be in that race.
Not yet, anyway. I mean, she's probably more of a turf horse, but the turf could also lead to distance.
Coffee Bar, though, is on the come, and she's a potentially rising star. We'll see. By the way, we also have a half to Arrogate.
We do.
Who's coming into this race on the rail. Diamond Ore, Barbara Minshaw bringing her because you know this filly's going to like the distance, and she knew it was going to be a compact field.
Yeah, so she showed she liked the distance in the Woodbine race when she stretched out off of 2 sprints over the Tapeta up at Woodbine. She ran well. She ran a winning race when she was second. She went down 6 weeks later to Tampa, and she got out of the maiden ranks.
First time on dirt.
Christmas Eve.
Wins.
And I'll tell you what, she was life and death in a race that you could have clocked with an egg timer.
Yeah.
So,
wide throughout, though.
Yeah, listen, she ran well, and you would have to think with her pedigree, she's by Tappet, out of bubbler, she's a half that, like Greg said, she's going to improve. I'll tell you what, if I knew I was the grass is blue as the favorite I get. I think this filly's going to take money. I mean, she's getting the headlines that she's the half to Arrogate. I got to think she's going to take some money. I thought Wonderwall was not because I'm an Oasis fan, but I thought Wonderwall was very, very interesting in here. She got claimed by Claudio Gonzalez 2 starts back. Claudio Gonzalez, for those of you who don't know, is a very successful trainer who wins an awful lot of races in the Mid-Atlantic. And she had run a race around 2 turns earlier in her career, which wasn't very good. She ran a 75 buyer speed figure last time out. I mean, if she brings that race to the table today, she's going to be right there on the money. I like the fact that she has the experience around 2 turns and has run well going the mile in the 16th. It was for Gonzalez. Now she's coming back in 16 days too, but we see him bring these horses back on short rest.
She could be 4th choice potentially in this race.
Right. Yeah. I gotta take a little bit of a swing with her. Always rooting for my man Louis Lazenauer. The grass is blue. The blinkers go on. She was gaining ground at the end of her race last time out. She kind of ran in spots. I think the blinkers are certainly going to help her. They're the 2 I want to lean on in here.
I'm concerned with her on the outside because the dam pedigree-wise, she's produced a lot more sprinters than route runners.
To the quote-unquote middle distance kind of horses. Yeah, up to 7, up to a mile.
And she had an opportunity to win that last race.
She did. She did. You know what? Those races at Laurel, sometimes that can be a quirky little racetrack too. I like the fact that she kept coming at them last time, and maybe distance is going to be her friend. Who knows?
All right, so in the end, for you, it's Wonderwall. I'm going to stick with Coffee Bar. It's a 5-horse, 5 fillies. Tough group, though. Talk about tough.
Yeah.
It gets even tougher. This is one of the most perplexing races I've ever tried to handicap since I've been coming to New York here.
So after scratches and with just 2 minutes left to wrap things up, I defaulted to Rudy after the scratches. 2 of my top 4 picks scratched. I put Sal My Pal on top. This horse getting blinkers.
How
fast
and why?
track.
Okay, no, I don't understand how.
Fast track, blinkers on, second time. I like this horse's work tab going into the last race. I'm hoping this horse just didn't like the mud last time. Gets onto a fast track today. Ring Good's 0 for 11. I'm never really going to pick a horse like that.
I agree.
And then Z Finale. Z Finale ran okay.
I don't trust that horse at all.
I don't either, but I'm just hoping that it was the mud last time. Here's Ring Good. And Z Finale's coming on the far outside here. This is back on December 12th. This is the fast track race for Z Finale and Ring Good. They both ran in the mud last time. Certainly, Ring Good handled it a lot better than Z Finale did, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, these are the 2 horses that make the most sense in here. They're going to be, with everything, with all the scratches now, they're going to be 8-5 and 2-1. I'll try Rudy once.
Ultimate, you could say that about, and I said that to you. Why stop my pal? What are you thinking? Because you could say that about every single horse in this race. I thought, with the exception of the 5 who scratched, I went with a horse who's maybe an even bigger head scratcher than the horse you went with the horse of the Royal True Palace. This horse, there's excuses. This horse ran 2nd at this level from the clouds. That was back in December at Aqueduct, and they jumped the horse up into a state-bred maiden special. Was only beat 2 lengths. He's going to need some pace to run at, and I think you can find excuses why, and you're going to need to. He didn't run. The last couple of races were just awful. But they jumped him up to an open maiden special, way above his head, and then they ran him back 6 days later next time out when they dropped him in for maiden 40. Even with that, he's still dropping in class. If you can find one of those races, which was only back in December, either of those 2, he's going to be right in the mix.
That's
here.
the biggest problem with a horse like him. It's like whatever race comes up next, he's in. So it's kind of hard to. I mean, he's a 4-year-old with 23 starts, and he just turned 4 3 weeks ago.
Sure.
So
and you're going to get a price. He's going to be a lot bigger than 12-1, I think.
All right, now we got a maiden 40. All right, drop him in. We got a maiden special. We drop him in. So hard to really handicap these horses. But again, True Palace, after some of the results we saw here this week, would probably be the most fitting winner of the finale today.
I talked myself in. Z Finale, we've just seen too much from him. I couldn't go with him. That's a tough one. If you're alive in multi-race wagers, going into that last race, I would want coverage.
Good job. This was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Naira Bets. That's where you got to go.
Get signed up, start and download the app, or go to NairaBets.com. Get that $200 sign-up bonus, the promo code to use. At sign-up, match 200. Just 30 minutes to post in the opener. Good luck, everybody.
50-50 at Oaklawn today. That's app only, folks. 50 here at the Big A, 50 down at Oaklawn Park. Yeah, head on over to NairaBets.com. Again, play that on the app. I did the early changes, but the legend's here now. He's up in the booth.
Yes, he is. John Imbriel.
Yes, sir. He's got the reprise of the scratches and changes. You'll see this guy 2:30.
2:30.
All right. Enjoy the day, folks.
America's Day at the Races. See you then.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. Sunny skies on this Sunday, the temperature in the low 30s. Main track is fast, and here now the changes for the 9-race card. In today's first race, scratch number 3, Maria's Gift. Scratch the 3. In the second race, scratch number 5, Tough Bird. Scratch the 5. In the third, scratch number 1, Liam's Fire, part of an entry. Scratch number 1. The fourth race begins the Empire 6. No changes there, and no changes in races 5 or 6. So we skip ahead now to the 7th race, and in the 7th, scratch number 6, Grape Therapy.